So for our final speaker is Maria Michelsen, a nature management officer for in the Ministry of Environment of Denmark. Have I got all of that right, Maria? Is there anything I've missed out?
No, that's absolutely right. I hope you can see my slides now, just the
Perfect.
slides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. No
All
problem.
right.
Thank you, Maria. Take it away.
Thanks. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. Um, as Thomas said, I work for the Danish Nature Agency at one of the coastal units, and that's also why I have come to fall in love with the dunes here. And I um, I cannot say that we have much experience with actually having dynamic dunes here in Denmark. Um, but that's also why I will mostly not be sharing a sort of lessons learned, but more talk from a perspective um, of, um, of learning, so to speak. Um, yes. Um, because we are just starting to work with creating some dynamics, I hope that we can be a case study for this workshop where we discuss the key challenges and opportunities together with you. And my point of departure and focus in this presentation will be this new life project proposal we are currently developing in Denmark. And it aims towards creating more dynamic dunes. So one of the measures we're looking at in the project is the Foredune Notching. So today I'll try to briefly introduce the project to you and also the context it works in here in Denmark. And then I hope to open up for a discussion with you guys using the chat where we can talk about how the lessons learned could be applied in this case, this life project in Denmark. So before we go to the discussion, I will firstly try to provide you some background on the project and also the state of the dunes in Denmark and the challenges the dunes face. And I must say, they're very much overlap with the French situation. So it was very interesting to see. Um, but our project, the life project, Life Dunamics, as we call it, is still very much in the proposal phase. And what you see here is the objectives for the life project at the moment. It's a rather ambitious project, and it's a project where we will be working not only with the biological dimension of dunes, but also the human dimension of the dune landscape. So one of the core visions in the project is to be working with restoring the natural dynamics in the landscape to the largest extent possible, and that includes the sand drift and other natural processes also, but especially the sand drift. So working with the dynamization of the dune ecosystem is definitely a key element in the project, and we see it as quite exciting because we haven't worked so much with it before. But just to give you an overview of the current state of our dunes in Denmark and the sort of state of the dunes the project will be working with. You see here a short table that's from a national report of the Natura 2000 habitats in Denmark. And you see the codes for the different dune habitats to the left, and then you'll see the distribution area and the occurrence is all green and nice. So that means that the distribution and occurrence of dune habitat in Denmark is looking pretty okay and stable. But as soon as we look at the structure and function and future perspectives and also the conservation status for for our dunes in Denmark, we see it looks worse. Red is bad and green is good, and that's the picture that made us think about properly starting to look at what we can do to help our dunes in Denmark and also start the LIFE project. To understand why the status is so bad and also perhaps give you an idea about what dynamization tool will work best, I assume that it will be good for you to know a little bit of the key factors that have shaped the dunes in Denmark over time. And especially a strong sand drift control is very much connected to a very fierce sand drift legislation because of historical massive sand drift have very much immobilized our dunes. And we have in Denmark very much like relentlessly tried to stop the drift of sand the past 200 years. We've even spread fertilizers from helicopters in the white dunes. We've done horrible things. And it's also very, very ingrained in the local population that white sand is absolutely not okay. And people have been told that playing in the dunes is completely forbidden because it will make the dunes less stable. We have, of course, recently stopped that kind of management. We still manage the sand drift in some areas because infrastructure houses important areas like that. But the increased atmospheric nitrogen deposition is also, however, a factor that we see as driving the dunes to be immobile still. Large-scale afforestation or planting of trees over the past 250 years in Denmark has also further reduced the natural movement in the dunes, and also in some places changes to the natural hydrological regime by drainage has been seen. And I've just brought some pictures here to sort of some photos to illustrate a bit of our coastline in Denmark, where you can see the development from 1789 until 2016. And here you'll see how the plantations slowly emerge on the left side. You can also see how the lakes in the dunes slowly disappear, drain away. And then to the left, you'll also see with the photos, you'll see how the sand, the white spots along the coast slowly disappear and everything becomes green. So this has not only meant bigger fragmentation and a decrease of the dune area, but it's also made it much harder to immobilize or to mobilize the dunes at today. And increased coastal tourism and development of areas with summer houses and the supporting infrastructure to those areas. The past 100 years, it has also introduced some new constraints on how dunes can evolve naturally. And that's a factor that gives us smaller areas to let the dunes be 100% dynamic and free. And this is a picture from our coast agency in Denmark that shows a good example of an otherwise beautiful notch, but it's right up against the summer house area. Yes, so we are fighting it a little bit. So that was some of the factors that have influenced the dynamization of Danish dunes up until now, but in the project, we're also considering what will shape them in the future. Some of it has been mentioned, but we're especially thinking about the climate change, the effect from that, like how will warmer weather, a longer growing season affect the dunes, and sea level rise with stronger erosion, also the more extreme weather, bigger and more frequent storms, droughts, and heavy rain. It's all questions that that we are at the moment considering very much when thinking about planning this life project. So because we have very little experience, actually no experience with this, we have a lot of questions, and we see this life project as a great opportunity to experiment with dynamization of dunes, also learn from existing projects and apply existing knowledge. And that's also why me and my project team in Denmark, we are very excited to hear your thoughts about how to work with foredune notching in such a life project. And I was hoping that I could ask some questions that will appear on the screen here, and then perhaps I could get you guys to type a few words sort of as an answer to some of these questions. And then perhaps when we open up later on for discussion, at least if that's okay, Thomas, then we can talk about maybe some of the questions. All right.
Brilliant. Yeah, the chat has now been enabled, so I think everyone can see the chat. So attendees can chat with everyone and panelists can chat with everyone. So yeah.
Perfect.
Feel free.
All right. The first question, what are the most critical planning steps when preparing a foredune notching project? Just a few words, it would be great.